Near the end of the 19th century, both Jewish and Arab nationalist movements emerged, pretty much at the same time. Both sought land in the Middle East, and both turned to the European powers for help. The Jewish nationalist movement that emerged in the 19th century sought to re-establish Jewish dominion in Israel-Palestine after almost 2,000 years. The movement became known as Zionism. Until the end of the 19th century, most Jews living outside of Israel-Palestine assumed they would be assimilated in one way or another. In France, Jews had been treated as legal equals since 1791. But things changed in 1881 when anti-Jewish policies in Russia emerged, followed by mob violence and hardships. Jewish refugees fleeing persecution in Russia flooded into the cities of Western Europe. Jewish intellectuals underwent a radical change in their thinking during this period. They lost their hopes for assimilation and became more open to Zionism. Zionism also grew because of the Dreyfus Affair in seemingly tolerant France. Jewish officer Captain Alfred Dreyfus, who was in the French army, was falsely accused of selling military secrets to the Germans and sentenced to life in prison. France's deep-rooted anti-Semitism surfaced. Journalist Theodor Herzl, an Austrian Jew covering the Dreyfus case, saw the Jews' vulnerability and became convinced that an independent Jewish nation was the only way for them to survive. He organized the first Zionist World Congress in Switzerland in 1897, and Zionism as a political movement was born. The goal of the movement? To create a legal home in Palestine for the Jewish people. After Herzl's death in 1904, Dr. Chaim Weizmann took over as a Zionist leader, and then gained the British government's support. In 1906, Weizmann met Arthur Balfour, a British statesman and former Prime Minister. This meeting led to a decade-long political process that ultimately resulted in the Balfour Declaration of 1917, Britain's formal approval for a Jewish home in Palestine. Zionism wasn't the only movement happening now. Around the same time, Arab nationalism originated, led by Hussein bin Ali, the Sheriff of Mecca. But the remarkable part? Arab goals also depended on the support of Europe, and especially the British government. In 19th century Syria-Lebanon, Christian Arab intellectuals started preaching to Arabs about the need for pan-Arab unity. Not all Arab leaders shared their vision. But near the end of the 19th century, the idea of a united Arab state gathered momentum. At the time, the areas of the Middle East where Arabs lived were part of the Ottoman Empire and under the control of the Turks. The Arab nationalist intellectuals asked Arab leaders to help them shake off the Turkish rule, and support for a pan-Arab state started to spread. For the next few years, both Arab and Jewish nationalist movements developed side by side, but soon their goals came to a head in one place: Israel-Palestine. It's quite likely that none of this would have come to anything if it hadn't been for World War I.